So I'm a director of solution engineering at Excel Data, and my goal is to help organizations improve their data operations using our data observability platform to help support enterprise analytics and AI. And I'll begin with just a quick introduction to data observability and the goals that we're looking to achieve around that. And then we can dive into the capabilities and have a quick product demo as well. So first off, we've seen this trend over time around digital transformation of kind of shifting and applying more and more analytics into an operational context. And so the traditional role of data warehousing and analytics and supporting insights for management decisions, that hasn't gone away. But of course, today, there's more and more analytics driven into machine-to-machine processes and to make apps smart apps, to make them smarter. Now, of course, application performance monitoring tools have really helped ensure that those applications run reliably and are performant. But the challenge for many organizations is that they have gaps when it comes to the data and analytics that's driving smart apps and smart processes. You might call this performance monitoring for data, and that's really an area where we focus. Another aspect of this shift is that things are just a lot more complex. You have a lot more people being served, employees, customers, suppliers, partners, that all want to take advantage of digital transformation. They have many use cases. It introduces, in many cases, a lot of new technology to address those. There's lots of processes that pull data in near real time to serve those folks in their business activity and operations. And of course, that's pulling in a lot of data and a variety as well. So this isn't really anything new, but as things get more and more complex, it presents a number of challenges, right? So on the one hand, it can be hard to manage all of this complexity reliably, and yet reliability is even more critical, because if things break, then you might have your business operations breaking as well. And the time and talent required to handle all of this tech and use cases, it can be considerable. And if not done efficiently, it can get very, very expensive. So our goal is to use a data observability approach to help organizations be successful with these complex environments. And the goal is to mature their data operations to get a higher return on investment and to really address those challenges, to help organizations be more reliable in terms of dependable delivery of quality data, processing, and pipelines at scale, to eliminate friction points at the design, development, and scale phases when you're developing new solutions, and to be optimized to identify ways to get the right performance and capabilities at the lowest cost. So how do we do that? Well, first off, it's a combination of monitoring, analytics, and automation. And we monitor your data processing engines, your data stores, your data pipelines. We capture all sorts of operational data around that, your performance metrics, metadata, utilization, and many others. And we apply analytics to gain insights to help you meet your SLAs, improve data quality, get a better price performance, and a number of other use cases. So you could think of it as operational intelligence for data. This is a quick view into our product offerings on the left, and really how we help serve those goals of being more reliable and stable, being able to scale transformation and innovation, and be more efficient and optimized. So the three layers of the stack that we address with three different products are, first at the bottom, there's Pulse. Excel Data Pulse is aimed at improving your data processing. Torch is aimed at improving data management. And Flow, which is currently in beta and getting rolled out at a couple of sites, is aimed at improving management of your data pipelines. So if we kind of run through this at a high level, when it comes to your data processing, we help organizations transition from being reactive and firefighting to be proactive, to be able to use trend analysis to predict and prevent issues before they occur. And that's really how you achieve reliability and stability. We help identify bottlenecks and other things that inhibit your ability to scale your data processing, whether it's an R&D, developing new machine learning models, or when you're rolling into production at scale. And lastly, we identify areas to improve efficiency, to reduce the amount of resources consumed and therefore your cost. When we move up to the next level, insight and observability into the data itself. And the goal is to improve on a variety of aspects around quality and reliability, to help make data easier to access and leverage and scale. And then again, areas of opportunity to improve efficiency in data management, whether it's productivity or eliminating redundancy and things like that, to lower your costs and improve productivity. And at the pipeline layer, we give you a view of an end-to-end pipeline and the ability to identify issues and then drill down into areas of concern, whether it's on the data quality side or reliability or around the processing, et cetera. We allow you to monitor the timing across the stages within your pipeline to identify bottlenecks and improve throughput. And we provide, again, areas of identifying the costs of your data pipelines and aligning that to the business benefits to help inform your strategy. So there's quite a bit of capability we bring here, but essentially we want to help you be more reliable, scale innovation, be more efficient, and we have products that address that at 3 different layers of the stack: the processing layer, the data itself, and the end-to-end pipeline. So let's drill in a little further around the data processing capabilities. So first and foremost, to get from being reactive and firefighting to proactive and predicting and preventing incidents, we provide some trending analysis capabilities. The idea is we track the consumption or the timing of resources over time. And if things are taking longer to run or consuming more resources, we can surface a variance score that allows you to identify jobs that might be running successfully and within your SLA today, but if the trend continues, you may run into trouble down the road. So getting ahead of that is something we can help with our trending analysis. Then the best alert, I say, is no alert at all. So we can monitor for conditions and then automate actions. And we have a couple dozen auto actions that we can take, and it's a framework to allow you to extend that. So as conditions emerge that are of concern, we can do things like automatically do cleanup or configuration or provisioning to self-tune and self-heal over time. And then when all else fails and you do have an incident, we provide a number of analytics to help you get to the root cause, whether you're looking at resource contention, the overall environment, or looking at a historical comparison and maybe what's changed. We give you deeper insights to address and understand some of the more complex challenges. So as we transition from reliability to scale, the idea here is we provide 3 levels of depth in helping you to scale your solutions. The first is out-of-the-box configuration recommendations. So this helps identify, whether you should add a little more memory, more compute, or other types of configurations that can help you achieve better performance. That may be all you need. For a deeper level of tuning, we provide a simulator. The simulator can tell you things like how fast will it run on a minimal configuration. If I want to meet an SLA of, say, under a minute or what have you, what should I configure to get to that? Or how fast can this run on the environment as configured? And where would adding more resources not really improve performance and just be a waste of money? So that simulator really helps you dial in on getting the right performance for your requirements without wasting money. And then the third level of depth is around workload analysis. And the goal here is to identify bottlenecks, unnecessary overhead, understanding how execution occurs. And this gives you insights to improving your job or your query or your data engineering. So where the first 2 help you dial in on the right configuration, this third one gives you insights into improving the solution itself. The last aspect of data processing is really about efficiency. Now here the idea is being able to look across the entire environment and looking at things like capacity, scheduling, where you have bursty loads, things that help you determine when and where you should apply new solutions to balance load, to get the right hybrid strategy, understanding your planning and your chargeback, and all of those sorts of aspects are informed by this high-level entire view of your environment. The next is around optimizing the data processing. So those same efficiencies that we talked about on the previous slide, we look across all the jobs that are running and flag those where there could be improvements around memory or bottlenecks or overhead or IO, things along those lines, so you can meet your capabilities at a lower cost. Then there's aspects of data engineering. So looking at areas where you have perhaps data that's not being used, or redundancies, or hotspots, or other aspects where you could take these insights and improve the way you're engineering your data. So with that, let me give you a quick overview of some of the capabilities in the product to kind of bring these things to life. So the first thing I'd like to call out with our data processing tool called Pulse is that we cover a lot of different technologies. Some of the ones that are of greatest interest are things like Spark and Kafka running in a variety of environments. But let's drill into the Application Explorer. So the idea behind the Application Explorer is I may want to start by, of course, looking at any issues that I have with jobs failing. And from here, I'm a click away to getting at the logs that might indicate what the error is. But really, to get better insight, I want to look at the history to see what's been, when has this failed before, or what is the resource consumption over time. I might want to compare different runs to see what the difference is between them. And I may want to look at this in terms of the context of the overall environment. So here I can go in and look and see from various perspectives, how are the resources being allocated, and is there contention or strain in the overall system that could be affecting this particular job. So these are just a few examples of insights to get to root cause that are challenging for many organizations. But really, I want to shift from being reactive to being proactive. So I'm going to actually filter on jobs that are running successfully today, and I'm going to take a look at our variance score. So in this case, I can tell perhaps over the last week or so which jobs are taking longer to run. Maybe this job is taking 27% longer to run than it did a week ago, and if that trend continues, I'm going to have a problem. So from here, I can do a deeper level of analysis. The first thing I can do is take a look at configurations. We provide a recommendation engine that provides configuration recommendations out of the box. That might be all I need to tune this particular job to get it to be on track. But if I want to go further, I can take a look at the simulator. And in the simulator, I can tell things like, how long is this taking to run at different configuration or different allocations of resources. I can tell where adding more resources doesn't create much improvement in performance and would be an over provisioning, and where do I need to provision to meet whatever target I have for this particular job. If I want to go even further, I can get additional insights into this job. So we flag inefficiencies, jobs that perhaps have stages that spin off lots of subtasks that have high overhead. I may want to take a look at whether certain parts of my code are running in parallel, and I can see that they're getting distributed and they're not single threaded. Or I may want to look at the timing of different parts or stages within my job to see where the bottlenecks are. So these are just a few examples of ways I can get a deeper insight into performance quickly and easily, so I can optimize and get the throughput that I need. The last thing I'll call out is we do provide recommendations that allow you to identify which of the jobs, if you have many, many jobs running, would be targets for optimization, and how you could drill in to perform those optimizations. So at a high level, that's a quick run through some features around how we can help you identify issues, predict and prevent issues, as well as scale up new solutions and be more efficient in the process. So let me pivot here and touch a little bit on the capabilities to improve data management. So first off, there's the notion of data reliability. When it comes to data reliability, it includes what I would call some of the classic data quality challenges: missing data, data out of range, or incorrect format, etc. And we provide capabilities out of the box for all of those things. We can go beyond by allowing you to define your own custom patterns, your own business rules, etc., to really address your specific requirements. beyond the data quality issue, the fact that data is in motion, especially in real-time use cases, and there's so much more technology, data moving from point A to point B, we provide an easy way to do reconciliation. And that is to ensure that data gets from point A to point B as expected, even if there's some transformation that might occur along the way. And then the last really is about drift, or really change and change management. So there's kind of two flavors here. One is schema drift. So the idea is, did someone change a source system, and would that potentially break a data pipeline or a process? And you want to be able to detect that as early as possible, or perhaps in your dev or QA phase, so that you can get ahead of that and avoid a business impact. And then the other one is data drift. And this really has to do with spotting trends in the data itself. So you may get a new pattern emerge from just changes in the world, and it might meet all of your data quality rules. The data might arrive as expected. There's no structural change, but you may want to have visibility or awareness of those types of trends. It could be an indication there's a problem with the data. It could be an indication that there's basically a trend that a business user would just want to see or know about. Or it could be an indication that it's time to retune or retrain or test your AI and machine learning so that they can continue to be accurate given new events or new trends that are showing up in the data. So that at a high level, being able to address classic data quality issues more efficiently, being able to ensure data in motion arrives as expected, and being able to handle different types of change, whether it's structural change or trends, is something that we bundle under the higher level term of data reliability. Now, under the hood, we do have a catalog that's used to inventory these assets. In some cases, we'll tie into customers' existing catalogs. In other cases, this provides a great way for organizations to manage their data asset inventory and to be able to collaborate for those that are consuming the data. Lastly, there's the notion of data economy. So in many cases, organizations find themselves with dark data, unused data, data that's redundant, or processes that are redundant. And being able to identify these things can help both from an expense perspective as well as a usability perspective, because dark, redundant, and cold data are expensive, and they're in the way, and they're not yielding much in terms of value. So we provide capabilities to look across your environment to help you spot these things to improve efficiency, usability, and lower your costs. One thing I'd call out is that in many respects, customers come to us and they describe something that is a bit of a death by 1,000 cuts. There's so many things that can go wrong, so many aspects of governance, and so much data that it's very difficult, even with great tools, because there's so many steps involved. So we apply a number of things, a number of machine learning algorithms and automation capabilities to help reduce that level of effort so that you can cover more ground more accurately and overall improve data operations. So the first is around the ability to identify and tag your information. This might be just first off identifying what it is, but then also looking at relationships, identifying similar data assets or assets that relate to each other. It helps both from a usability perspective as well as a management perspective. As we profile and identify and relate these assets, then we can apply data quality rule recommendations. This provides several advantages. First off, there's always going to be rules that are custom to your organization, but the vast majority of rules should be things that you can quickly, without having to pour through field by field, table by table. So we surface those standard recommendations to allow you to do that quickly and easily and broadly across your data assets, as well as with greater precision by being able to profile your information and determine what the right thresholds are for validating your data. And then when it comes to process automation and management, we help organize multiple rules into policies. We allow you to call out to Excel data to perform those validations, and then we can feed the results back to your overall workflow so that you can focus on your engineering efforts where needed, and then provide a simpler approach using data observability when it comes to validating that engineering. Because we're built on Spark, we're highly scalable, and we also allow you to tap into all of the capabilities that come with Spark, whether you're looking to do sophisticated things with machine learning or streaming or what have you. We provide some incident management capabilities, but also the ability to tie into existing ticketing systems. So let me quickly show you a few examples of this within the product to give you a sense of how it works. So here, for example, I've got an asset, a table that I've inventoried, and this could be an asset from a streaming source or from a dashboard or a variety of different tools. We give you quick visibility into what the data looks like. And then from there, you can begin to apply policies, whether it's a drift monitoring or schema drift monitoring or data drift. Data quality policies can be added. And here we provide recommendations. These recommendations can be added with just a few clicks. And this is based on our machine learning recommendation engine. Of course, you can add your own rules as needed and even do things like check that you're receiving rows of data within the ranges. And we can even do validation checks that from the source to the target, the data is arriving as expected. And of course, you can define how you want to incrementally scan for these things, how you can configure scheduling or workflow automation. And we have a number of channels for communicating notifications, email, Slack, Teams, and many others, and the ability to hook into other services for downstream processing. So this is a quick example of how you can click your way through to applying data quality. We have the ability to import rules. So if you have data assets that are repeated, you have the ability to call out to other rules that have been created and reuse them without having to go through the process over and over again. We do provide the ability to monitor all of this at a high level. So you can view all of your data quality policies or other reconciliation policies. You can see the trend of how you've been scoring over time. You can drill down on a specific execution. You can look at the specific rules and see the metrics, drill down on a particular rule, see where there's been violations. We can, of course, mask or hide the details depending on your role. But this makes it very easy to manage data quality at scale across your environment without having to look inside each and every ETL job, for example. So that's just a quick overview of some of the capabilities we bring around improving data governance and data management. From here, let me call out a couple of things that we can do to support you. First of all, we have a range of professional services to provide product support, consulting engagements, managed services to provide the support that's appropriate for you. I'd like to call out a couple of examples of where we've helped customers improve on these metrics. So first off, at GE, we helped lower their costs. So they were experiencing poor performance and system instability. We helped them troubleshoot those issues and optimize their environment. And that actually lowered their infrastructure costs, the resources that they needed for their environment, by 40%. At True Digital, they had a problem with being able to scale. So they were currently only able to process 50% of the data that they were ingesting, and they were looking at a very expensive upgrade to double their infrastructure. We were able to identify inefficiencies and configuration recommendations that allowed them to double their performance on their existing infrastructure, allowing them to process all of their data without having to spend more money on their infrastructure. And at PhonePay, which is a Walmart company that provides an app-based payment solution, they were able to improve their reliability as well as scale their solution. So when we first engaged with them, 60% of their talented engineers were spending their time firefighting instead of innovating and expanding the organization's solution. We were able to not only get to the root cause, but apply those predictive trending analysis capabilities so that they could get ahead of issues before they occur and they've now gone over 12 months and counting without a single Sev1 issue. So these are just a few examples of how data observability is lowering cost, improving performance, and reliability at scale. So just to recap, data observability approach allows organizations to get a better return on their data investments. And this is really aimed at three primary areas: improving reliability in terms of dependable delivery of quality data, processing, and pipelines at scale, eliminating friction points when it comes to designing, developing, and scaling new solutions, and really implementing efficiencies and optimizations to allow you to get the right performance and capabilities at the lowest cost. So with that, I'd love to open it up to some questions. We've got a few minutes left, and I'm very curious to get your feedback and address any questions that you might have.
Yeah, so great session, Mark. That was super awesome, amazing. Love the interaction and kind of getting into the product. So we do have one question in the chat right now, and I've also promoted one person who had a live question, but while waiting for that person to join, Julia asks, can you speak specifically about monitoring and optimizing within hybrid distributed environments?
That's right. Yeah. So one of the challenges is around, having to pull the data to a separate environment in order to provide your quality checks. And one of the things that I would call out with our architecture is we're able to centralize the metadata, and that's a very small amount of data. And when it comes to monitoring things that you might have on Azure or Google or Amazon or on-prem, we can leverage those environments to actually perform those scans. So for example, we can, all of our scanning is done through Spark, so we can deploy the actual Spark jobs within Google or Azure or Amazon or on-premise to be close to the data and to be able to do that at scale. And then we can pass back the results of that to our centralized repository, which is a small amount of data. Now, the second aspect to being able to handle things in a distributed environment is, regardless of what environment you're operating in, because all of that data is centralized, you don't need to manage a separate solution in each of those separate environments. And the last thing I would say is, in many of those environments, you have very large amounts of data. And as a result, the Spark architecture allows you to do distributed processing within that environment to handle as much data as you need to scan and be able to do that as quickly as necessary to meet your SLAs, so that the scans and the quality and the validation is done quickly and gets you further down the pipeline.
Great. Jeff asked a question, do your three products work together or do they work independently?
Yeah, so these products are designed to work together, but many customers will purchase them independently. So an example of where two products could help you working together is if you have a complex data environment. Let's face it, many organizations have a data swamp. To address that data swamp, you may use the Pulse product to identify where you have large volumes of cold data or inactive data, active data, and then you can use the Torch product to then look inside that data and determine from a business perspective what's the best way to handle it, to tier it out, to archive it, or you need to keep it online. So when it comes to cleaning up the data swamp, there's an infrastructure aspect to it and a data aspect to it together that together allow you to improve the data lake.
Great. Well, this has been awesome. And Mark, thank you so much for your support, for your session. It was very informative. We don't have any more time for questions. So if you didn't get to ask your question, there's still an opportunity to. You can join our Slack community, which is the Subsurface Workspace, and search for Mark's name. And you can ask him a question there, or that you can send him a direct message through the Subsurface Conference platform. I do ask that everyone take a minute and fill out the session survey in the Slido tab at the top right of your screen. And again, the expo all is open as well. So please check out all of our partners, all the sponsors of Subsurface, and all the amazing things that they're doing as well. So with that being said, thank you so much, everyone, for attending. Mark, thank you so much for the great presentation, and have a wonderful rest of your Subsurface.
Thank you.